Hello, rock and rollers. Ryan Roxie here from the Alice Cooper Band. Are you ready for SlasherPepper? I know I am.
Hey guys, SlasherPepper, and welcome to another video. Today is another interview, and this time with Ryan Roxie. How are you doing?
What's happening, man?
Awesome. I'm so glad to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I really do.
You're so welcome. And my first question was, do you have any new projects coming up?
Well, the newest thing I think that I have coming on is I get to actually go back to work, which is something that hasn't happened for, now over a year and a half, or maybe even coming up on 2 years. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The last time that the Alice Cooper Band toured was in January of 2020. So we actually did get a little bit of touring in 2020 before the whole world shut down. We got to go to Australia and New Zealand, and that was a super fun tour, and I can't wait to get back out there again. And we're going to go to the States and tour with Ace Frehley. So Ace Frehley, Alice Cooper, and that's the newest thing I have, I guess, going on. But
Awesome.
I'm just, again, in the trenches all the time. My podcast is called In the Trenches, so I'm trying to do stuff, grind it out, and put out music related YouTube videos and content and interviews.
Hell yeah.
And try and teach people as much guitar as I can, try and pass the torch of rock and roll on to other people. So between the podcast and my System 12 guitar method, which is a guitar method that we came up with, that will help you get a foundation. If you're thinking about learning how to play guitar, it'll give you the best foundation and all the fundamentals you'll need to start playing songs, which is really important when you want to play guitar, because that's most of the reason why people start to play guitar.
Yeah,
I want to play songs.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. We teach System 12 guitar method with all the fundamentals and 12 lessons, and you're playing guitar in 12 weeks. So we've worked really hard on it in the last couple of years, and between the podcast, the guitar system, and then getting to go back out on the road with Alice Cooper, my plate is full.
Awesome. Very exciting. It's funny because last Saturday I was calling with a good friend of mine, David, and he told me like he always judges people from what they do when like they don't have much to do in terms of jobs. Like, how do they keep themselves busy? Do they either, you create the podcast, but other people would just watch TV and eat chips, So
I did a little bit of that too. I'll tell you.
Of course.
I watched a lot. We've all watched a lot of TV, but then you have to put out something. You can be a creator or a consumer, right?
Exactly.
I would lean heavy on the creativity, but still being a consumer, because you want to be entertained. You want to be taken away sometimes, and not have to do the work. You want to appreciate someone else's work, and I think that's important as well. But go lean heavy into the creativity, but also be a consumer from time to time, because that also gives you ideas about what you could do with your own creativity.
Can be very
inspires
inspiring.
you for other ideas.
Yeah. Awesome. And then my next question is, and maybe you could have seen this one coming, but when can we expect an Alice Cooper album with the current touring lineup?
Wow, that's a great question. We would really, really like to be on the next Alice Cooper album. This band, I think, is proven, year after year. It's the most consistent lineup that Alice has had since the original band.
Oh yeah.
As far as the longevity of the lineup, we're usually having, a lot of turnaround through the tours, at least over the years that I've been associated with Alice, and that's been since 1996. But this current lineup is stable, it's strong, and I think it produces every single night as much as it can. I mean, we are basically the foundation for Alice Cooper to do his thing. That's what our whole goal is, to make those songs shine in the spirit of which they were written, because Alice has put together so many great bands and so many great albums over the years. We want to put that, the spotlight on those songs. So we try to do our best version of those songs in the spirit of those recordings, but then putting our own personalities into those performances as well. At the end of the day, it's Alice Cooper's name is on the marquee, and everybody in this band knows. We all know that, and that's fine. That is perfect, because we all know that our roles are support roles to make the Alice Cooper show what it is, and hopefully make, you know, people and generations of people come out to the shows and enjoy it and walk away, you know, either humming a song or walk away going, hey, who was that guy on stage left, or who was that girl on stage right, or whatever it was. It's like you want people to appreciate the music and appreciate the musicians in the band.
Awesome. Very well said. And then to look back on albums you've already worked on, like what album would you say you're most proud of?
Man, that's a tough one. Now, are you talking about Alice Cooper albums, or are you talking
No,
about
anything
like
solo.
albums well, because you want to have, okay, that's my baby. This solo album is my best solo album. This album that I worked with. I feel I've worked on a bunch of albums that might have sort of flown under the radar. Not like the amount of ears and eyeballs that I would like to have seen and heard these records might not be as many as I would have liked. I want to have more people listen to them, but the people that do listen to them, they find them very enjoyable, and I'm really happy when I come across someone that says, look, man, that album really, really spoke to me. That album helped me out through a time of my life. So the solo albums, the last one that I just put out called Imagine Your Reality, I'm really, really happy with the response that we've sort of that I've received, and sort of the groundswell of support that we've received in building this thing called the RGA, which is called the Roxie Guitar Army. It's what I refer to our fans and our supporters that have either decided to start playing guitar or just come along for the ride and start supporting the album, because that came out a couple years ago, and I was able to release song by song. Each song on the album has a video and has a lyric video, and I was able to release them separately so that each song on the album had its own little time, its own little space for celebration. And now you can go on to my YouTube channel and you can check out the whole entire album, song by song, video by video, because each song is represented. And I'm really happy about that. And if you're old school and you want to support, you know, the old school way of, like, you know, supporting an artist and actually buy the album, we have it available on vinyl and CD as well. So nice. It's not just digital. It's also in vinyl and CD.
You know, one thing I wish more people would watch is your TED Talk. Like it only has like a couple thousands of views, but I thought it was a great TED Talk, man.
Yeah, that TED Talk I feel is one of those things that it's again a little bit under the radar.
Yeah,
maybe it's not the multi-million dollar or multi-million viewed TED Talk that's other TED Talks are, but it is there. I got the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And the fact that it's there, I talk about, you know, the three things that inspire me, and the sort of the advice that I give to a lot of people that are up and coming in the music business or other businesses. And I give sort of my secret away right there, and that's fine. It's rules that I live by. So if you're interested in that and finding out sort of my sort of motto of life, or sort of my sort of best sort of advice that was handed down to me, go check out my TED Talk, and that's on the YouTube official channel as well, which is Ryan Roxie Official.
I'll put everything in the description for anyone.
Oh, that's cool. Interested. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
That's great. Yeah, for sure. And then I was wondering, like the Dragontown and Brutal Planet albums, like the industrial heavy albums from Alice Cooper.
Era. Yeah.
There was always talk like there would be a third album and it would be a trilogy, but online you can't really find that much. Like, how far did you guys get with a third album, or is that just a rumor that's made up?
Yeah, I think the if you think about it, the trilogy of that is very urban legend. It's very cool to talk about three albums, but if you look at Alice Cooper's history, he's much more into the number two. He makes two types of albums and of a genre, and then I think moves on. And that goes back, if you go on into the history of Alice Cooper, whether, it's Killer and Love It to Death
Yeah.
have sort of a same type of vibe. Definitely for me, when I was writing with Alice Cooper, a lot of the track and along with the band, the two albums that I think the band contributed a lot of the songwriting, and it sounded a little bit garage rocky, were The Eyes of Alice Cooper and Dirty Diamonds, those back to back.
Yeah.
That sort of a duo, a pair of albums. So think about it, Alice Cooper's is more of a pair. And because I think Brutal Planet and Dragontown were definitely had that industrial vibe, but it was good for those two albums. Then we switched to more of a garage rock type of genre, more of the Love It to Death blueprint.
Yeah.
And so I think it comes more in pairs. The trilogy maybe sounds good on the internet.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, there's not a third industrial album of the Alice Cooper band in that era, unless Bob Marlette knows something that I don't, and he has some hidden track somewhere. Because Bob Marlette produced those albums, and he was really great. He did a great job of it. And the funny thing is like I have had Phil X on my podcast, who now plays for Bon Jovi, but Phil X, the guitarist, played the solo on Brutal Planet.
Oh, nice.
And I played the solo, and I sort of copped that solo from him night after night. So I played the solo, and obviously on the live album, the Brutally Live album, as far as the Brutal Planet DVD. And so when people see that, a lot of people know the Brutal Planet era from that Brutally Live DVD that we shot at in the UK, at I think the Apollo or the Hammersmith. I wonder if it's, I always mix it up because the old school it's called the Hammersmith, and I think it might be called the Apollo now, but it's in London, and we recorded this DVD. So a lot of people know that solo of Brutal Planet because I played it, and then they hear the album, they go, that's a little bit different. Well, it's definitely the inspiration is taken from Phil X. So when I had him on the podcast, I was like, I play your stuff every single night. So maybe someday you'll be able to play one of my solos.
Yeah. Who knows, right?
We'll see.
Awesome. And then what's in the future for In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie? Like when touring starts, everything will kind of clash. How are you?
We're going to try and keep it. Yeah, we're going to try and keep the podcast as much as we can going full steam. Because it's picked up a momentum now. We have with the In the Trenches podcast. It started out. I started before the pandemic actually hit, but I wasn't doing it on a weekly basis. So then once the pandemic hit and I saw that there was definitely a need for people to still stay in contact with us and for us to be in contact with them, as well as people wanting to learn something new while they were stuck inside, we started putting out episodes weekly, and that's when I put out the System 12 guitar method as well. But the thing was, before that, I just put out a few episodes spaced out, while I was on tour. I feel that we can do something like that when I go back out on tour, but because we have a team now, we have a producer with Vic Chalfant, and we have researchers, we have guys that book it, and we have girls that put out the the promotion. We have a promotion team and a research staff and a booker and a producer. We have all this stuff in place, so I think it'll make it easier when we go on the road to like, okay, this person's scheduled for this date. Let's nail down this interview, and we can still pull it off.
Awesome. Well, let's hope you'll be able to keep it up. No
guarantees, but we can. You look like a young Theo Von. I don't know if anyone's ever told you about it. He's another. There you go. I think it's Theo Von. He's a podcaster himself, and he's got million. He's one of those ones that gets millions and millions of listens and views. Theo Von. You checking him out right now?
Yeah.
All right, there it is.
Damn, yeah.
Like, damn, that's me.
That's it. He's a little bit older and not wearing a bandana, but if he'd wear a bandana, then he'd basically be me. Yeah. That's awesome.
Dude, you know what? Ride the coattails. Just say you're Theo Von's
Little
just
brother.
say you're his little brother, man. You got his own podcast. I'll bet you Reflective Glory is awesome. Cash it.
Awesome. And then my channel is all about heavy metal and horror movies. Now, are you much of a horror movie fan yourself?
I'm into old school ones. All the new ones, I haven't been as much because I'm married to a girl that is absolutely terrified of horror movies. So I barely have a chance to watch them. But
Right.
that being said, when I'm out on the road, I get to watch a ton of them because Alice, as you know, is a huge horror fanatic. And so whenever the opportunity comes up and we can go to a movie, we'll usually watch some sort of slasher type of movies. But, for me, I like the classic, Night of the Living Dead, shot in black and white. Now, maybe people don't even know, what's black and white? What does that mean, Roxy? You really are an older gentleman. No, black and white films, it's something about it being shot in black and white is amazing. Other sort of, I wouldn't call them horror movies, but like more psychological horror, like Seven. The movie Seven, David Fincher film, just so brilliantly shot, and just it's like it's and well done and creepy and things that make you obviously The Exorcist is another classic that everyone even to this day stays away from. The Omen. What are those movies? Are those movies like horror movies, or are they just like
no, for sure.
Okay.
Like I guess Seven and David Fincher movies are more like psychological thrillers,
but movies like what I'm saying, the Omen trilogy. They're going back to the Omen trilogy, 3 movies, or the Night of the Living Dead, or maybe the Exorcist, and I guess there was an Exorcist too. But those types of movies, they mess with your mind a little bit, a little bit more when you start bringing religion involved in all these different scripture type stuff. I think people get a little bit weirded out by that stuff.
Yeah, especially when you hear like the behind the scenes stuff from The Exorcist, like that the set was sort of cursed and whatever, and those kind of.
Oh, you hear? Yeah, you read about all that kind of stuff as well, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky, to come out when the first Halloween came out. The first Mike Myers film. Not now that was it Halloween 17 now at this point. It's like I was there for Friday the 13th, part 1, and there for Freddy, Nightmare on Elm Street, part 1. So to come out at that age and see those type of horror flicks, I know that maybe people might laugh at them now and they almost find them almost comedies or whatever, but they were sincerely freaky, scary types of movies. And I remember watching them all when I was younger, what were the ones When a Stranger Calls?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Have you checked the children? Have you checked the children? Have you checked the children? And then and then there was the other corny ones. Well, I mean, not corny ones, but Texas Chainsaw series.
Oh yeah. Awesome.
Like when the first one came out. I mean, the second one does actually have some comedy involved in it. I mean, about it's a Toby Hooper, right?
Yeah, but
isn't that him?
Yeah, but he directed that one. He directed the first 2, and it's funny because I think when he was directing the first one, he intended to make it like a dark comedy. But then the entire public thought it was so scary, and he was like, "What? It's supposed to be like a dark comedy," and he was super confused. And then,
didn't Sam Raimi wasn't with the Evil Dead? That was sort of the same thing, because I see in all these movies that now that you're talking about it, like, oh, are you into horror movies, Roxy? And at first I'm going, well, I guess I am, but no, now I'm like, fuck, I'm really, I was lucky enough to see all these types of movies when they were released. I
Right.
remember when Evil Dead came out for the first time, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" I mean, because it was one of those movies where you go, "Oh my god, this is so gross."
Yeah.
But now, like, if you watch it now, you would think like, "Oh my god, the production is so cheesy."
I know, yeah.
It's
Because it
so
was
unrealistic.
basically,
But at that time, I was like, "No."
yeah.
It was over the top, squishing someone's eyeball out of their head or whatever it was. It was like, they do it with like cream cheese instead of
Yeah.
like, now all CGI'd out. So, in a way, it was kind of more charming in that sense.
Yeah. Because like the Evil Dead 2 was basically just Sam Raimi and his brother and like his best friend from high school. Well, dropouts from high school basically just going to a cabin and shooting a horror film. And like it's
Well,
actually kind of inspiring in a way.
maybe in that sense, that sort of typifies the Alice Cooper show. Bringing it back to music is that we are kind of like those original horror movies. When you come to see an Alice Cooper show, you're not going to spend the night looking at a huge screen that's on the side of the stage or looking at a backdrop that has a bunch of video images, because 9 times out of 10, we don't have video screens or we don't have all that production, because we put all the production into like actual real props
Yeah,
of like a
right.
guillotine on stage or some sort of bloody ballerina or some sort of some like 12-foot inflatable baby that comes out on stage.
Right.
So we do these things that might come across campy, but in another sense, it's kind of like, oh shit, that's the original deal. That's the real deal of rock and roll and a rock and roll show and theatrical and shock rock. And Alice Cooper has put his stamp on that, and he's sort of he is the godfather of shock rock.
For sure. Yeah, I remember when I posted a little clip from the concert in Holland that I was telling you about, like 2nd of October 2019, and I posted like a little clip from when the babies came on stage, and my entire class was like, "What the fuck kind of concert is this?" They were so confused.
It just gets campy and weird. And I always say that if you come to an Alice Cooper show, you're going to probably leave with your ears buzzing, but
Oh
the
yeah.
song stuck in your head, and part of you is going to go, did I just see a really professional concert or did I see a high school production? I'm not sure, but I liked it.
For sure. Yeah. I loved it. It's like when we got into the car, instantly we just turned on Spotify with some Alice Cooper, like that's the kind of thing I always do after concerts, especially after great concerts like that one. Like I just listen to the songs that I just heard live because I'm just
Well, that's the
fanboying
old
out.
school way of doing it. That's the old
Yeah.
school way. You tailgate before, and then on the way back home, you're listening to the songs going, oh, didn't you like that song? I love that song. That was cool. I'm glad they did that one. They should have done that song.
Yeah, exactly. That's the perfect vibe. And then here are some philosophical questions. If you
Okay.
ruled the world, what would it look like?
Wow. If I ruled the world, what would it look like? I'd say there'd be a lot more guitars in the world.
Nice.
I think everybody would be standard issue. Everybody would be issued a guitar to put out on their couch or, just on a guitar stand in one of the rooms, because I think just having a guitar there at least opens the door to you playing music.
I know,
opens
right?
the door,
Yeah.
So the guitars would be definitely much more readily available. Learning the guitar would be free. It would be part of your curriculum. It would be kind of like learning, or not even just guitar, but learning music. If I ruled the world, would be a much higher priority. Almost like the way in school you have to take a foreign language. Well,
Yeah.
music is a language, so it shouldn't be foreign. Music is actually the one international language that everybody speaks.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter what country you're from. Everybody knows that opening riff to Poison.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't. It's just hands down. So there's so many more examples of that. But music is the one language. People say, oh, well, you know, why don't we just pick one language and we'll learn it, whether it's, you know, Mandarin or Arabic or English or whatever. We'll just have the world learn one music. We already know one language. It's music. And that's the thing that does sort of bind us together and makes us, you know, think things, thought provoking. Like I said, I hope the younger generations start using that music as a tool, the same way that people before me, in generations before me, used music as a social change. I mean, think about it. In the 60s and early 70s, music was much more of a social change instrument and a tool than it is today. And so maybe we'll get back to that at some point.
Who knows? Hopefully, that's definitely that's a
Anybody
really
that's out there
answer.
aspiring, you know, songwriters that also have, you know, deep thoughts that they need to get out and have some agendas what they'd like to get their points across, put it to a song, put it to a kick-ass song, and people will listen to it.
Nice. It's funny because I was on vacation a couple weeks ago, and at this house that we rented, there was like an acoustic guitar, and like I want to be a filmmaker later, so it's kind of like I want to, you know, develop my skills in that and rather than guitar. But because it was there, I was like, you know, I love music, so why not give it a try? And I started trying to play "Nothing Else Matters" by Metallica. You know, like one of the most played songs, and I found out that it was actually so much fun, and I'm kind of considering buying a guitar myself now. You know,
just the same way that, you know, so many people become film directors on their cell phones because there is that technology now.
Yeah.
But there are only a finite amount of great filmmakers out there, and people that decide that that's going to be what makes them happy and what makes them shine. You know, that genre of people, you know, there's still a million cell phones of people that have that opportunity to direct. I feel that music should be that readily available. And, you know, those same, you being an aspiring filmmaker, you know, you should still learn how to play guitar. All sports people should, you know, all athletes should learn how to play music in some sort of instrument. I know I'm focusing primarily on guitar because that's what I do.
Of course.
But at the same time, it's like, you know, anything musical I think is important. Not if you're just because if you want to make it your lifestyle. No, if you just even want to make it a small part of your hobby or therapy or whatever you can fit it into your life and whatever it speaks to you as, then use it. You know, use music as, because there's something about it when you hear music, it does change you. It changes your mood.
For sure.
You know, music is one of those things. It's sometimes you're inspired by someone talking, and yes, words can inspire, definitely. But sometimes just sitting there hearing music notes in a certain order, in a certain way they're produced, puts your whole headspace in a different headspace. And that's important.
For sure. Yeah. That actually reminds me that I used to kind of try making music in GarageBand, like using digital synthesizers. And I kind of got pretty serious about that, but maybe I'll have to pick it up again. But then again, it's GarageBand, so there's probably
it's totally
so
possible.
many.
You know what? To this day, song ideas that I come up with when I'm in a hotel room, GarageBand is my go-to platform.
Nice.
Why not? You know?
Yeah.
Because everything's right there. But again, for me, I say something a little bit old school, something tangible, not just something that's programmable, but something tangible. Where's my guitar? You know, something you can pick up and play. You know, something you can just and learn a couple chords and actually establish a mood by, you know, something that you're playing, not something that's like not a keypad or not a program that has a loop in it. So I think it is important as much as that opens the door, great, but then also learn the craft of an instrument. whatever it is, maybe whether it's drums or whether it's, you know, keyboards and or piano, or whether it's a guitar.
Yeah, because if you use your keyboard, it's like you just wrote a business email with that keyboard, and then you get less of a feeling that you're done with working.
There's something about touching
Exactly.
an instrument and,
Yeah.
and your fingers making that sound, or
Yep.
you know, your heart and your, I always say, what is tone? It's your heart and your head telling your hand what to do. And what's the last thing that your hand touches before it goes out into the world? It's the instrument.
Yeah. Yeah, I still collect DVDs because that also just has like this feeling of, you know, you have the movie in your hands, you know, it's not like you're opening Netflix or something. So yeah, I feel it's kind of the same
DVDs
sort
for
of thing.
you is like vinyl for me.
Oh yeah, I got some vinyls over there too.
Very nice. Very nice.
For sure. I'm a bit old school too, even though I'm only 18
Good
years
for you.
old.
No, you're the next generation that we've passed on. And I say that, you know, you're the result of either really great parenting or really bad parenting. so either way, it works for me, because, you know, I love the Ramones, you know, but here's the question, you know, if you see someone with that T-shirt, just go, can you name 3 songs? You know, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but can you name 3 Ramones songs?
Rockaway Beach, Rock
one.
and Roll High School,
There
California Sun, I Love You
That's a
Baby.
cover, but that's okay. Okay.
I Love You Baby, Pet Cemetery,
Blitzkrieg Bop, Sheena.
Blitzkrieg Bop, yeah.
Okay. Beat on the Brat. All right, good. So you're covered. But
Yes.
but a lot of times people have the T-shirt, but they don't know the history, and that's okay.
Okay,
I mean, because
what do you think of that? Like, if you'd see someone with an Alice Cooper shirt that's from like H&M or something, like what?
Yeah. Well, for one, it's keeping the name and the spirit in the conversation. That's great. You know, because at least it's giving it relevance. Whether it's historical relevance or whether someone just says, I think it's cool, it's kind of campy. It's like it's rock and roll, right? I'm rock and roll.
Yeah.
At least you're saying those words. At least the idea is still there. So I'm fine with it. Now, would I rather them wear the T-shirt and have listened to a couple of the albums? Of course. But you know what? At least the word is spread. When someone wears a T-shirt, it's the best, because you can't spread music visually the same way you could back in you know, like I remember with record albums, we would you know, we'd trade record albums, we'd bring them to school, we'd, like, you know, show off our albums or our cassette tapes. Oh, I just got this new cassette tape. We'd actually promote the music, the tangible stuff. But then, you know, concert T-shirts became the thing, and that's a great way of advertising. So in a way, anytime that someone buys a, you know, shirt from H&M that has one of those bands on it, they're just advertising for our genre that keeps me touring year after year. So thank you. That's good. Keep it going.
Yeah,
Keep
I'm
wearing
kind
those shirts.
I'm kind of the 50-50 the same way, you know, because
That
on
would
one
be
hand,
like, yeah,
on one hand, it's like, you know, it's our little community, but on the other hand, it's like, you know, if people would wear shirts of my channel without watching my videos, you know, that's kind of fine with me because I'm making money with it and it's free advertising.
And you're getting that free advertising, dude. You know what?
Fuck?
I mean, look, I'm not a professional football player, but guess what? I mean, I love the Raiders, and, you know, a lot of people just wear the Raiders because I like that. It's a cool shirt. It's a cool logo.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can tell you, you know, who's on the defensive line, who's on the offensive line, who we drafted this year, you know, who our quarterback is and who our third string quarterback is, you know.
Nice.
It's currently Nathan Peterman, who just played a whole entire game, just in case anyone's fact checking.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. You prove yourself worthy. And then here's another question. If you could change one characteristic about yourself, what would you change?
Characteristic. if I could change one characteristic, I would say not to get like wound up in the moment. If I could change, like sometimes there are times when I can just instead make a knee-jerk reaction, you know, especially if it's on stage. Like if something fucks up on stage, I can have tendency to go ballistic for like temporary insanity, I guess you could call it. And it's because I'm in the moment and I want the show to be the best it can be. And if I get a guitar that goes out of tune or breaks a string or something fucks up, like technically with one of the amps, and you know, which doesn't rarely ever happens. But if something technically does go wrong, I have a quick fuse, and I would change that, because I think for most other things, I can take a step back. I try to at least take a step back and not get all wound up. But, you know, on stage is a different story. And sometimes, you know, in arguments or, you know, in when things get heated with people, as things will get heated with band members, or it gets, you know, heated with anybody and you're in a relationship with, I think it's taking that step back that's the most important. I think I'm doing a better job than I used to, but at the same time, if that was one of those characteristics that I could change completely,
Yeah.
I would do that. More just more chill. And I love people that, like, you know, someone's going ballistic in front of them and they're going off and they're yelling, rah, 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 and the other person's just sitting there like,
yeah, because that's really effective.
Just taking it all in, but just taking it all in, and then when that other person's done having their tantrum, they will just say their point calmly, and it makes total sense. You know, I love when someone comes back with that. So I'll get very inspired when I see that, either in movies or when I see that in real life. You know, the one thing I wouldn't change is because it's quite funny if you actually go out in the golf course with me and play golf, is my overreaction when I hit a bad shot, because I will yell out literally. And I did it this morning. I will yell out the weirdest fucking expletives you ever, like in weird order, like, you know, just certain words that you know, just shouldn't hear. It shouldn't come out of this mouth, but they'll come out when you hit a bad golf shot. And trust me, I hit a fair share of bad golf shots, and it's quite funny to be around. But, you know, at the same time, yeah, I wouldn't change that, because it does entertain me sometimes.
Awesome.
But I'm learning how to get more chill after a bad shot. Like, I'll say it, I'll still go fuck motherfucker, and then, but then I'll calm down right away, because I know I have another shot that I can't get too wound up about.
Yeah. If you keep being wound up, then the next shot will be bad as well. You know?
Yeah, and then there goes your game. I mean,
yeah,
that's one thing about whether all professional athletes that makes them different than all of us, is that, you know, we can mess up in sports. Like, we'll miss a shot, but then we'll probably miss the next one because it's in our heads, and we'll miss the next one and miss the next one. Professional athletes have this innate ability to like mess up, fuck up, but then the very next play, it's perfect, because that's what they do.
Right.
And maybe I have that with music. Maybe that's like, I'll miss a note, but, you know, it's like, I know it's just a note in a song, and and I'll get a chance to play that, make up for it tomorrow night when we play the same song, because I have, like, you know, 20 other songs to play where I have to hit right notes all the time. And, you know, I can't let that get in my head. So in that sense, perhaps, I guess that's why, for lack of a better term, I am, you know, I file my taxes as a professional musician.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm lucky to do that. I'm very fortunate and lucky to be able to do that. I will tell you that.
Awesome. And then here's the final question. If your life was a movie, how would you want it to end?
My life was a movie. Oh, well, definitely happy. I think everybody wants a happy ending.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Damn, I'm trying to think of like what would be the best ending of movies that I had seen. Would it be a surprise ending? Like, holy shit.
Huge plot twist.
Yeah, like the end of like The Sixth Sense or something like that, where it's like, oh, what? I didn't realize that. Um, or would it be one of those situations where you, when it all, I don't know, because like at the end of a movie, I guess I read about somewhere where Steve Jobs, like one of the last things he said was like something like, "Oh my God, it's wonderful," or something along those terms. He was like he was dying, and like wherever he was going was even better than where he had been. And that's how I think I would like to, the movie to end. Was that the question? Was it to end the
Yeah,
movie or
yeah,
okay?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So like as blessed and lucky that I've been in this life to know that you're going someplace else that's even cooler or even, more uh exciting and adventurous and wonderful, then that's amazing. Then wouldn't that
Nice.
be a great way? Because then you're not so much afraid. You're kind of like, don't don't rush it. Live every single moment while you're here on this place and this reality as much as you can. Without sounding too cheesy, but live it to its fullest. But know that that next place, when those credits do roll, that you're going to someplace even better. Right?
Awesome. That would be fantastic. Maybe in the afterlife everyone will be able to play guitars for free.
The rock and roll afterlife, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe it will be, or maybe, yeah. I mean, that's the way I would like to see. Well, it couldn't be all guitar players because there'd
Right.
be just too much ego everywhere. That's the one thing I have learned about doing this podcast is that I used to assume everybody had a huge ego if you were a guitar player. And then I realized that, wait a second, that was just me reflecting on myself. That's just me
Yeah.
sort of, putting it on other people. No, pretty much everyone that I've had on my podcast that's been a guitarist has been the most chill, coolest person that ever. They've been the best, and so I've really had to rethink that, and because I used to think it was only drummers that liked other drummers and they had their own little group, and we all thought that was kind of, oh, isn't that cute? Drummers always support each other, but guitarists, there's a little bit of competition, so that's
Right.
okay too. But now I'm realizing, because of the podcast and the more guitarists that I meet year after year after touring, that we're very supportive of each other. And I think
Nice.
we do, when one of us guitar players does something good or does something that's successful, not only are we lifted up as a complete, community, but we're also, inspired, and it inspires us to do more stuff with our own creativity and our own playing of guitar. So I'm done with projecting, ego onto other guitar players just because of this ego at times that can be a little bit out of control. But again, I've think I've done a pretty good job in the last few years of calming that ego down. But
I feel
it's
like
always
that's
there.
most important.
Yeah.
Like, so I feel like it's something you're born with as a human being, just in general. But there are just some people that kind of learn to sort of turn it off at times and then keep reminding them to shut it off at times,
Yeah. No doubt.
There are others who just
I
let it
tell
live.
people in my guitar clinics, I say it's a fine line, and you need to really, really work on it. But there's a fine line between confidence, which is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Confidence you got to have. If you don't have it, you don't believe in yourself, no one else is going to believe in you. You have to have confidence, but then it can very easily slip over to
Oh, yeah.
arrogance. So between confidence and arrogance, always let confidence win, because arrogance makes you no friends, and arrogance just kind of makes you very off-putting. So try your best to be confident, not arrogant.
Awesome. I
I
think
think I'll
that
leave it at
perfectly
that sounds it's
yeah,
a good way to go out, right?
wrap it up. Awesome. And to everybody watching, thank you so much for watching. And all the links will be in the description to all the websites that we've mentioned in this interview. And we'll see you guys next time. See ya.
Cheers, man. Thanks for having me on. Cheers.